After we make sure everybody has nice contact and can work off of each other, moment to moment, without the pressure of improv lines or anything like that, we were starting from objective point of view, even though sexually some of those first calls were quite subjective. They had a point of view in it. Full lips is kind of both, pretty, but some things were just facts, right? Curly hair, right? So now, and the reason that we had them just open their eyes and say the first thing was to make sure that they're functioning not from their head, but from the gut, right? Because if you open your eyes and start thinking about things, then you're not following your first impulse, and the impulse is everything. Okay, so now we get to go into something different where I'm not going to ask you guys to close your eyes anymore. What I want you to do is just take each other in. And you're going to start from a subjective point of view observation. Something you're getting from your partner right in this minute. You know? And so, Matt, I'll let you start off. And so, no changes. Still, no changes. But just repeating. Allowing yourself to be affected by what they say and repeating. Got it? Whenever you are ready.
You look like a librarian.
I look like a librarian.
You look like a librarian.
I look like a librarian.
You look like a librarian.
I look like a librarian.
You look like a librarian.
I look like a librarian.
You look like a librarian.
I look like a librarian.
You look like a librarian.
I look like a librarian.
You look like a librarian.
I look like a librarian.
You look like a librarian.
I look like a librarian.
You look like a librarian.
I look like a
You
librarian.
look like a librarian.
I look like a librarian.
You look like a librarian.
I look like a librarian.
You look like a librarian.
I look like a librarian.
Okay, good. You're okay there, but I think you got a little bit caught up in the first observation. Even though you're working off of each other, like how many times are you going to say, you look like a librarian? After the third, fourth, fifth times, it's really not about that anymore. It's about the time that he's trying to convince you. It's time that she keeps laughing you off. That's what it's about. But the sense was that you kept bringing it back to the librarian comment. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And you heard me, right?
Yeah.
Because you're taking this micropause, which is sending it up into your head to like, let me think how I feel about being called a librarian versus work off of his behavior. Don't work off the word.